The mitochondria is easily my favorite organelle, and my bet is that by the end of this video, it'll be yours too. Now, we're going to be using this image here, and this is inside of one of our study units here at Kenhub. Now, our study units are basically these gigantic lessons. This one's on membranous organelles, so it's on much more than just the mitochondria. You can see all these images that are inside of here. This is a premium feature, but we're going to go ahead and leave a link down in the description below to a separate but equally amazing study unit on reflex arc, so you can see just how powerful these study units and lessons can be. Now, what's cool is when you sign up for Kenhub for free, you will get access to all of our images. You get to see our thousands of articles. So there is plenty of value packed in there. So be sure to check that link in the description below. But this right here is the mitochondrion. Now, so mitochondrion would be the singular version. Mitochondria would be the plural one. Now, automatically, whenever I talk about the mitochondria, everyone is just bursting at the seams to say powerhouse of the cell, which is actually really good, because that tells us that, you know, something is sticking about the mitochondria, and it does give you some insight as to what it does. But it's a really, really unique and interesting organelle. So what you can see here is a cell, right? So this is a cell kind of showing all the available things inside of it, all the little organelles. And you can see there's this little box. And what we've done is we've gone ahead and pulled it out. And this is where you see the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is unique in a number of ways. And the first one is the fact that a mitochondria, or mitochondrion again, would be, has two different membranes. Right, so it has this outer external membrane, which you can see here has these little pores in it. And those pores are really impartial. They kind of just let anything and everything more or less go inside of it, which is not always how things work with structures. But this is the outer or external mitochondrial membrane. But then just deep to it, you can see this other one. This is that inner membrane. And this inner membrane is much more selective. It's like, no, if you're going to come in, you need to belong to be able to come inside. And so between those two is something called the intermembranous space. And so you can kind of see that here. And the intermembranous space is where we're actually going to be storing hydrogen. And that's going to be the most essential thing. There's other things going on there, but that's what we're really going to be concerned with. And so we have these two membranes here. But the other thing I want to bring to your attention are these folds. To me, this has always looked like coral. You know, whenever I'm teaching this, no matter who the illustrator is, I think it just has this really coral-like appearance to it. Now, these are called cristae. So these are mitochondrial cristae in these folds. And the whole idea with folding, you see this all the time, right? You see this all throughout human biology, is because folding like this increases the surface area. And the reason why you want more surface area is because that provides you with an ability, you can pack more things into the same amount of space, right? By folding it, you are dramatically increasing availability of different enzymes and proteins and things that we can see. Like if you just look at all of these little things inside of here, by folding it with these cristae, you dramatically increase that ability. So that is going to be number one. Now, what's also fascinating is the more folds there are, you know, that is based on demand. So there might be certain areas in the body. So let's say like the heart, for example. The heart is always beating, right? It beats about 2.5 to 3 billion times over your lifetime, which tells us that, you know, it's got to be working. It's really got to be working. And since the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, those mitochondria are, you know, they're being leaned on pretty intensely. So there is actually more cristae in the mitochondria in the heart than there are in other locations in the body. So more surface area allows you to do more work, and that is going to be absolutely essential. So here's the thing we got to understand also, is on the inside, we can see the mitochondrial matrix. So the matrix is just the inside of, like on the other side of that internal or inner membrane. So inside of the matrix, you can see like the yellow, green dots. You can see like this little circle here. All of this area, this is the matrix. And what the matrix does is it actually moves hydrogen ions from inside of the matrix to the actual intermembranous space. And so it's pumping it against a gradient. And so what that means is that you have hydrogen ions that are going to be located inside of that intermembranous space, and they're under pressure. They don't like being there. This is so essential. They do not like being in this intermembranous space. And so what's so clever about mitochondria is that what they'll do is utilize that pressure to their advantage to create ATP. So you can see this right here. It says ATP synthase. You can see these three little things here. So this is going to be a protein complex. And this is so fascinating. This is one of my absolute favorite things about mitochondria. Is what'll happen is the mitochondria is like, okay, hydrogen, you want to get back into the matrix? It's kind of opposite of what Neo was trying to do in the movies. Different conversation for a different day. But if you're trying to get back into the matrix, you have to go through the ATP synthase. And when that happens, the ATP synthase will literally rotate and spin like a turbine. And that rotary, I think it's around, if last time, don't quote me on this, I think it's around like 150 revolutions per minute. I'm trying to remember if it's the exact number, but it doesn't quite exactly matter right now. I'm just saying it is amazing that it's spinning, and that mechanical spin is essential because what it's able to do is create ATP, right? It's able to basically take what's called ADP and add another P. So I should probably say what all this is. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate, right? So this is where you have three phosphates, right? And so ADP is adenosine diphosphate. So what they're going to do is take a phosphate, the ATP synthase, and pretty much put it in there together and make the triphosphate. And to do that, you need that actual mechanical, that rotor movement. It's absolutely wild. So again, it's like they physically pumps the hydrogen ions out and it's like, all right, you want back in, you got to go through here. And then when it goes through there, it is going to actually help create ATP. And ATP is important. I mean, not just important, it's the most important. I mean, ATP is the energy currency of your body. Without it, your cells cannot do work. So it's basically, it's a decent analogy. Just don't take this literally. But it's almost like a little explosion of sorts. What'll happen is an ATP molecule will land on a protein and then, right? And what'll happen is it'll split off a phosphate and then once again becoming ADP. And in that process, will create heat and energy, right? And what that'll actually do is move things. And so without ATP, work cannot happen inside of the body. In fact, kind of interesting to take note of this. Death is essentially when you are unable to make ATP to sustain the multiple chemical reactions that you need to in the body. And it's a lot. We're talking trillions every second, more or less. I mean, I haven't counted it, but that feels accurate. Again, don't quote me exactly on that, but absolutely essential, this ATP synthase, right? So the other things I want to bring to your attention are going to be the mitochondrial granules and the ribosomes. So ribosomes, you probably know from, just other aspects of the cell. So, because ribosomes you see on the endoplasmic reticulum, specifically the rough endoplasmic reticulum, but you also see it floating inside of the cytosol. So I know it's a little bit difficult to see. It's a pretty small, actually, you know what? Watch this. I'm going to push this real quick and we get this really nice image. This is perfect. So you can see all these little dots here. These are ribosomes. There are ribosomes that are floating inside of the cytosol, which is the gel-like fluid inside of the cell. And then you can also see ribosomes on the rough endoplasmic reticulum, as well as they're going to be on the nuclear envelope, which is surrounding the nucleus of the cell. You don't see any ribosomes on the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which is why it gets to be called smooth. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go like this. So now we have this really big image. I think this is going to be perfect for us. Is now we can actually see that there are ribosomes also inside of the matrix, right? Inside of the mitochondrial matrix. And the reason why that's important is because of this other one called mitochondrial DNA. We'll come back to the granules in just a moment, but the mitochondrial DNA. And this is the reason why this is my favorite. This is my favorite organelle, because this is not the same DNA, scan back up here, that we would see inside of the nucleus. So inside of the nucleus, that's what we call your nuclear DNA or your nuclear genome. And that is all of you, right? So I come in here and I go, and I pull that out. Well, I have your genetic sequence, right? I mean, if I have the ability, I could clone you, right? Because that is what your nuclear genome is. It's everything that's you. Mitochondrial DNA is not that. Right? You can see this is a circular form of DNA, right? It's not a double helix like you'd see in a nuclear genome. This is a circular DNA, which is exactly what you see in bacteria. And that's because right now, all the evidence suggests, or at least strongly suggests, that a mitochondria was once upon a time a bacteria. And what happened, this is probably like 1 billion, maybe even more. I've seen people suggest up to like a 2 billion years. A long time ago, what happened was we had a cell and we had a mitochondria, and they made a deal with each other. The deal was the cell was like, you know what? I'm going to let you in and I'm going to protect you. All you got to do is give me energy. Seems like a fair trade, because you have to understand the cell can make ATP without a mitochondria, right? It can do this through glycolysis. The thing is, it's anaerobic, meaning that this is without oxygen. And you can't make that much ATP this way. But with the use of oxygen and a mitochondria, the ATP synthase, these spinning turbines and everything that's going to go into it, like the electron transport chain, there's a lot more that goes into it. You get a lot more ATP. We're talking like 36 ATP versus say 2 ATP for glycolysis. It's like an 18-fold increase or around those parts. And it's even different if you start including like fatty acids. My point here is it's a good deal. To have the mitochondria jump on in is a really good deal. All it needs is a little bit of protection. So what that means is this is the DNA of a separate organism. Right, this is bacterial DNA more or less, but over time it's not really a bacteria anymore. Like, people don't really think about that. Like, you can tell that it was once, right? But evolution has changed things, and so we now know that it's not really a bacteria anymore. It's part of the cell, but still it's unique enough to have its own DNA. And what's also fascinating about this is that this DNA is passed down through your mother. And I want to be very clear here. This is not mom's DNA. This is the mitochondrial DNA, right? Mom's DNA is in her nuclear genome, is her nuclear genome that is inside of the nucleus. But what happens is when the egg is fertilized by the sperm, the egg is what provides mitochondria to that growing blastocyst, right? That fertilized egg. So the mitochondria come from the egg. And what that means is every single human on this planet got their mitochondria and the mitochondria DNA from mom. So you got it from your mom, she got it from her mom, so on and so forth. The mitochondria that is inside of the sperm is going to be destroyed. So there's no lending of the mitochondrial DNA from dad. This is all going to be from mom. Really, really fascinating. Really, really fascinating. And then the last thing I want to mention are these mitochondrial granules. So the granules, we're still working out everything that they do, but these are what are primarily going to store calcium. And so the thing is, calcium is something that is absolutely needed inside of the matrix for a variety of reasons. The thing is, you need to have the correct amount. So if you have too much calcium, that can be destructive and catastrophic for the cell. The whole cell can die. The mitochondria can die, and then that can lead to cellular death and apoptosis, and it's just not exactly what we're looking for. So what you want to do is say, like, if calcium level is too high, you can actually shuttle calcium into these mitochondrial granules. And then if you need more calcium, you can also release it from those granules. So the granules are, you just think of it, there's more to it than just that, but you can just think of them as being more so just a calcium storage. But this is mitochondria. It's absolutely fascinating. I think it's so cool that we have just this thing that was a bacteria that made a deal with us, and now it gives us more energy, and it passed down from your mother, and it's just a very, very unique organelle. So as a reminder, this is part of one of our physiology study units. Look at this. There's so much more going on here. I strongly encourage you to check out our physiology section. This is newer. We've been working on this behind the scenes for a while, but we're slowly letting out a whole bunch of study units, and it's really, really exciting. Again, we're going to go ahead and leave a link down the description below to a separate but equally amazing study unit on reflex arc, so please go check that out. Remember, there's plenty of other free things. Like if you scan down to the bottom of this, you're going to see look at this. So the related content here, I'm just going to click on this cellular organelles. This is an article. This is 100% free. This is 100% free. And what you can see here is, like all of these images. I can click on this. Look at this. I can click. We can see all sorts of things. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. This is a medical encyclopedia, is how we construct these. All of this is 100% free, and you can find that if you go ahead and click the link down in the description below. But thanks for hanging out with me. I sure hope you learned something. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you in the next one.